Hello, welcome to QUT News.
Hello.
Cyclists staged a dramatic protest in South Brisbane this morning. They lay down on busy Vulture Street pretending to die, but their peak hour stunt sparked more anger from drivers.
A choir of horns filled the street as cyclists lay down in the middle of the road with their bikes by their side. They say they've had enough of dangerous conditions and too many riders have been hurt.
The bike safety in Brisbane is not good enough.
Most of us know someone who's had a serious accident on the roads as a cyclist.
But drivers on busy Vulture Street in South Brisbane were infuriated.
You know, you're just stuck in the traffic. It just makes things a little bit hard.
Yes, we are running late and I think everyone's entitled to their protest. Obviously doing it at peak time might not be the best for everybody.
Organiser Greens councillor Jonathan Shree was unapologetic.
We're quite frustrated because we've been calling for simple improvements, for safe, separated bike lanes and for lower speed limits, and so far Brisbane City Council hasn't been listening to residents.
But not all bike riders supported the protest. The head of Bicycle Queensland asked organisers to call it off.
We need safer roads, we don't need people lying down on them.
A 19-year-old woman was hit off her bike at this intersection last week. Cyclists are now planning to hold more of these die-in protests until there's something done about road safety. Shelley Chang suffered minor head injuries and bruising in the accident.
It was really frightening, and when I got hit, the motorist actually came out of her car and told me that I scared her.
Brisbane City Council and Bicycle Queensland say they'll continue to work together to extend bikeways across the city. Anna McCullough, QUT News.
Cardinal George Pell is likely to face two separate trials relating to historical sex charges. Both the prosecution and defence team agreed to the move in court today due to a 20-year gap between when the alleged offences occurred.
76-year-old Pell arrived at court this morning, again surrounded by police, with both supporters and hecklers in the crowd. The Cardinal's legal team wants the trials underway as soon as possible. During today's directions hearing, the magistrate indicated each trial should run about 5 weeks. It's the second court day in a row for Pell. Yesterday, he formally pleaded not guilty to several sexual offences. The Holy See has issued a statement overnight noting the court's decision and confirming that Cardinal Pell's leave of absence is still in place. But this legal process could take many months to run its full course. And the man who is currently Australia's highest-ranked Catholic and one of the most influential men at the Vatican may never return to Rome. The Melbourne court reconvenes on May 16th, where it is likely a date for trial will be set. Max Eagles, QUT News.
One of the AFL's most decorated figures has been charged with drug trafficking and possession. Mark Bomber Thompson will face court again next month.
Popular former Essendon player and coach is laying low. Police raids at his Port Melbourne home uncovered quantities of ice, ecstasy, LSD, MDMA, and related drug paraphernalia. It is alleged some of the drugs were found in a password-protected room that only Thompson had access to. Thompson ran from waiting media last night, refusing to comment on how he will plead.
It's a big day and hopefully we get a chance to fight them, that's it.
Are you planning on pleading not guilty?
I've got no idea yet.
The police investigation also revealed deep-seated links to notorious bikie members. As part of his current bail conditions, Thompson must continue residing at his converted warehouse home, surrender his passport and report to police 3 times a week. Thompson returns to court on May 25. Bridget Vanderwolf, QUT News.
Queensland Health Minister Stephen Miles has rolled up his sleeves for a flu shot at Parliament today. It's only the start of the flu season. This 2018 is not looking good. 360 more cases have been reported than this time last year.
The vaccine is at maximum effectiveness around the 3 to 4 month mark. Getting the vaccination now will ensure that you are protected through the worst of the flu season.
Minister Miles says eligible Queenslanders can now access the government-funded flu jab from their local providers.
Sydney police are investigating the suspicious death of a Brazilian businesswoman who they believe may have been murdered. Cecilia Haddad has worked in Australia for 10 years. Her body was found by kayakers in the Lane Cove River on Sunday. Friends had raised concerns after she missed appointments on Saturday. Today, police sealed off her luxury unit block in the northern suburb of Ryde. Neighbours are alarmed by these new developments.
It's a shocking news. I've never have it. It's just, I'm scared, to be honest.
It's terrible. It's horrible. Like, it's just unbelievable, something like that in Ryde.
Police are now working to trace Ms Haddad's final movements.
One person is dead and at least 3 others missing after a horror building fire in Sao Paulo. The high-rise building collapsed during the inferno.
The abandoned high-rise building, which was occupied by squatters, collapsed in downtown Sao Paulo, sending fiery debris into surrounding buildings and neighbouring streets. The former police headquarters building caught fire around 1:30 a.m. local time. This resident says he ran up to the 10th floor and knocked on every door. More than 170 firefighters battled the blaze throughout the early hours, describing it as being like a tsunami. The 26-storey building collapsed just 90 minutes after it was engulfed by flames. This fire captain says they couldn't control the fire. Now they're going to work on putting out the flames and afterward look for possible missing people. While the cause of the fire is still unknown, investigations are continuing to find the answer. Clearing the debris and accounting for people who had been in the building is likely to take days. Liam McCullough, QUT News.
Animal rights activists gathered outside Parliament House this morning in a counter-protest to yesterday's farmers' rally. They say koalas are dying at an alarming rate, and without stronger environmental protection laws, they'll become extinct.
Save our forests! Save our wildlife!
Koalas, vulnerable, endangered and near extinction. Environmental conservationists say, with an animal dying in Queensland every second, time is ticking away. They say land clearing is to blame, and they're pushing for stronger deforestation laws.
We need strong laws that protect the 45 million native animals that are being killed every single year.
And the RSPCA can't save them, because the majority of land clearing takes place in remote areas.
So most of them either get killed directly or die slowly.
Today's demonstration was in response to yesterday's farmers' rally. These eco-warriors calling for even stronger laws to protect our native animals, including our koalas.
With both the cute koala Beaumont and the countdown truck roaming the city, they hope their message will be heard.
This is an emergency, and it's time for the state government to do something about it.
Parliament will be debating the issue all week. Gemma Niwa, QUT News.
Recapping our main story, cyclists staged a so-called die-in on busy Vulture Street, trying to highlight cycle safety.
But the protest disrupted morning peak hour traffic, angering car drivers.
And still to come, Facebook moves to improve privacy for users.
May Day protests in Paris have taken a violent turn. Riot police had to control hundreds of protesters who disrupted the annual march by labour unions.
They call themselves the Black Blocs, and they ran riot in Paris during May Day marches. This union boss says demonstrators were peaceful, but problems of violence have disrupted demonstrations over the past 2 years. Riot police resorted to using water cannons and tear gas to control the hundreds of hooded protesters. More than 200 far-left anarchists have now been arrested. Things had started calmly in Bastille Square, as public service and railway workers gathered in central Paris for the traditional march. This worker says public services belong to everyone. Reform is possible, but it needs to be for the better. Discontent with President Macron's economic policies has also spread to railway staff. Rolling strikes have been ongoing for 3 months now. This young protester says it will be students hit by the reforms. When train tickets go up, they won't be able to afford it. Overall, numbers were down at this year's march. Labour unions reported the May Day rally attracted 55,000 demonstrators. Police say it was more like 20,000. Bridget Vanderwolf, QUT News.
Meanwhile in Chile, Workers' Day marches also have seen activists turn to violence. Protesters in Santiago weaponised rocks and sticks. Some used homemade bonfires to block main roads. In response, authorities rolled out tanks and riot police. The clashes followed organised union marches against the centre-right government. Thousands of Chileans rallied behind two of the unions to demand increased rights.
A blast at a Nigerian mosque has killed at least 27 people and left 56 others injured. And in the Central African Republic, gunmen opened fire at a crowd of churchgoers, killing at least 15.
The explosions in Nigeria took place in and around a mosque in the latest spate of attacks by militants in the region. A suicide bomber struck the mosque at around 1 p.m, while a second bomber detonated a device some 200 metres away. The blasts in Mubi bore the hallmarks of Islamist militant group Boko Haram. The group has waged an insurgency on Nigeria since 2009 and often deploys suicide bombers to crowded places. Meanwhile, in the Central African Republic, gunmen armed with grenades targeted a church in the capital of Bangui during morning mass. Christians were trapped in the church until police were able to break down a wall and free them. One victim said she was in the church and everyone was running. One of her church sisters was shot in the feet and brought here to the hospital. Among the dead was a local priest. Thousands protested the attacks by marching through the streets of Bangui carrying the body of the priest. The Central African Republic spiralled into turmoil after Muslim rebels ousted the president in 2013. Anna Ayres, QUT News.
Facebook is developing a tool to allow users to clear their browsing history on the social media site. Mark Zuckerberg made the announcement at Facebook's annual conference.
The Clear History tool comes in the wake of an inquiry by the United States Congress. Mr. Zuckerberg says the company is working with privacy advocates, academics and policymakers to build the tool.
You're going to be able to use this tool to see the information about the apps and websites you've interacted with. You'll be able to clear all this information from your account, and you'll even be able to turn it off, having this information stored with your account going forward.
The CEO admitted the social media giant's handling of its users' data needed improvement. The company has faced criticism for allowing users' information to be accessed by political consultancy Cambridge Analytica.
An app developer took data that people had shared with them and sold it. So we need to make sure that this never happens again.
Mr. Zuckerberg also announced Facebook will be introducing a dating feature. He says it's being built with users' privacy in mind. Both the privacy tool and the dating service will be released in the coming months. Max Eagles, QUT News.
Air pollution is killing 7 million people every year. The World Health Organization has released the latest data saying it's time for change.
It's something we all take for granted. But clear skies and fresh air is a luxury in most parts of the world. The World Health Organization reports that residents in Asia and Africa are most at risk.
9 every 10 persons around the world are breathing an air that is not respecting the recommended guidelines of WHO for air quality.
Unfortunately, these numbers have remained constant in past years. Outdoor pollution remains high and relatively unchanged, but indoor air pollution has deteriorated, placing women and children at risk.
3.8 million deaths are associated to the fact that many people around the world is still relying on very polluting fuels for cooking or heating or lighting in their houses.
The health institution says approximately a quarter of global deaths from heart disease, stroke and lung cancer are attributable to air pollution. They say they're committed to engaging ministers of energy, environment and health to tackle the problem.
Because probably of the lack of political will in some countries, we are not moving at the speed that we would like to see.
The World Health Organization will convene the first conference on air pollution and health in October. Bridget Vanderwolf, QUT News.
French President Emmanuel Macron is in Australia for his first visit. He's urged our Prime Minister to show the courage of his convictions in tackling climate change.
At Sydney's Anzac Memorial, Mr. Macron paid respect to fallen French and Australian soldiers. He laid a wreath and presented France's highest honour to 3 Australian World War II veterans.
I know how indebted my country is to you. And so it is with emotion and honour that I come to you on behalf of France to say merci.
Last night, the President attended a reception before meeting Prime Minister Turnbull for dinner at the Opera House. The French President is here for trade and defence talks, but he made clear climate change action would also feature in the talks, calling on Australia to decide to participate in something much broader, to something more strategic.
There is no plan B, because there is no planet B.
Macron's next stop is New Caledonia, which is still a French territory. Liam McGillivray, QUT News.
Star duo Andrew McCullough and Anthony Milford have been given the go-ahead to take the field tomorrow night against the Bulldogs. Their addition has bolstered Brisbane's chances against a lacklustre Bulldogs outfit.
Andrew McCullough just may be the fastest healer in the Broncos squad. The hard-working hooker was expected to be sidelined for up to 8 weeks with a hyperextended elbow, but is already back on the paddock just a fortnight later.
We've taken all the other precautions and all the other tests, all the things that we need to know, and no one can't see any reason why he can't play, so that's where we're at.
A moon-booted Maguire made a brief appearance at training this morning, but it was a surprise no-show from star 5'8" Anthony Milford that prompted rumours of a possible injury.
No, he'll definitely play. He hurt his ankle a little bit the other day, coming with a sore ankle. He stepped off a pavement and twisted a little bit, but he did train on Tuesday and then got a bit sore after that.
After a stellar debut performance, big man Payne Haas is expected to get another run at Suncorp tomorrow night. The young Bronco, weighing in at 120 kilograms, turned heads in last week's win against the Rabbitohs.
There is the teenage behemoth.
Yeah, no, he was what we hoped he could be, but as I said, it's just the start of a long career for him now, and the challenge is to keep doing it.
With McCullough now expected to play tomorrow night, Bennett's boys will be sure to put the struggling Bulldogs under the pump in front of the home crowd. Toby Rowan, QUT News.
In other NRL news, Manly forward Jake Trbojevic has stood by his coach over the Jackson Hastings saga. Meanwhile, Todd Carney has called it quits for the Cowboys.
Hastings was first dumped, then reinstated. But he's still unlikely to run out for Manly this weekend. That put pressure on Sea Eagles coach Trent Barrett. But players have come to his defence, impressed by Barrett's handling of the club's on- and off-field problems.
I think he's, done a great job. A lesser man probably would have walked away from what he's got to face. And just to see how passionate he is, week in, week out is, it's inspiring.
Dylan Walker will replace the injured Lachlan Croker at 5'8". Meanwhile, Todd Carney has given up hope of an NRL return with the Cowboys and is moving back to Sydney for family reasons. An emotional Carney told his Northern Pride teammates of his decision last night in Cairns. It's unclear whether he'll return to far north Queensland. Anna Ayres, QUT News.
Ashlee Press has all the weather details next.
And a loyal family pet receives a unique honour from police.
Hello, time to take a look at the weather. First up, check out this stunning fire rainbow. The colourful phenomenon was spotted in California. It happens when the ice crystals, which make up cirrus clouds, catch the sunlight at certain angles. You're unlikely to see a fire rainbow in Australia though. You need to be closer to the equator. Closer to home, and that cloud cover kept things quite warm overnight, with 10 degrees the lowest in Kingaroy. Around the southeast, Ipswich had a cool 12-degree start to the day. Fairly pleasant maximums in the mid-20s across the major centres in the region. A look at the other states now, windy and mid-20s for Sydney and Canberra. A possible gusty thunderstorm in Melbourne. Rain continuing for Adelaide, and a cool 21-degree maximum for Perth. If you're travelling around Queensland tomorrow, possible showers right along the coast from Cairns to Bundaberg, with the exception of partly cloudy conditions in the beef capital. While out in the west, it should be sunny and 32 degrees for the Isa. If you're heading out on the bay tomorrow, those early southerlies will shift around the east later in the day. and boaties can expect calm seas up to half a metre. Tomorrow, 26 degrees and showers continuing for the sunny coast and possible showers for the Gold Coast. Finally, the 3-day outlook for Brisbane, mostly sunny and 26 on Thursday and slightly warmer conditions leading into the weekend, with 28 degrees predicted on Friday and Saturday. That's the weather now. Back to you, Kate.
Thanks, Ashlee. Hero canine Max the dog has received a different kind of treat for his role in rescuing a missing girl. The loyal companion was awarded a Queensland Police Service collar and medallion.
When 3-year-old Aurora Kyle wandered far from her Cherry Gully home near Warwick late last month, a familiar friend came to her rescue. Her dog Max stayed with her overnight until she was found. Aurora's grandmother was relieved to know she wasn't alone.
The dog kept pulling her towards the lights last night, but she said, I held him and we slept together. So she slept with the dog. She said, I had a good sleep, Granby.
The faithful blue heeler is 17 years old, deaf and partially blind, but his instincts saved the day.
I don't think I'll doubt that dog ever again because he is a great little dog and great dog.
Max has now been officially commended by Queensland Police, proudly receiving his award of a flash new collar and posing for photos.
Max has become Queensland's first honorary police dog, but it is hoped his services won't be needed again anytime soon. Madeline Escobar, QUT News.
And that brings you up to date with QUT News. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye.